Hi everyone, I'm Sky. I am a Theta Healing Master Instructor and Course in Miracles teacher, and we're going to be talking in this video about divine right action, how to take it, why it's relevant, how divine right action and the spiritual principle of atonement work together to change our lives for the better, and why divine right action is so important and powerful part of manifesting anything in your life. So divine action is really exciting, and it's how I manifested most of the best things in my life. It's how I manifested my marriage, it's how I manifested my business. And it can be scary, but it's super, super exciting because it's just you and the universe moving as one, you and the love and the will of God becoming one. So you listen, you pray, and you take guided action. And that used to be in the meditation tracks that I listened to when I first started meditating. I listen, I pray, I take guided action. And this idea of putting your mind to stillness and asking God, what would you have me say? What would you have me do? Where would you have me go? To whom would you have me share it with? And then taking guided action after that stillness, on what you heard or what you listened to or the message you received from Creator. They're literally what will give you the opportunities that you're looking for in your life and will put you in the right place at the right time doing the right thing. So sitting in your back garden with a bunch of crystals under the full moon won't be normally the place where you meet your soulmate. It's normally when you're, sitting out having a coffee, or for most people, believe it or not, at the supermarket. So when we're manifesting, it's that divine right action. You don't know why you went out. You don't know why you went to pick up that thing. You don't know why you're being guided to speak to this person, but you are. And often divine right action is profound in that it's about atoning for a mistake you've made. So we've all made really big mistakes or screwed up royally at one point or another, and it doesn't serve you or anybody else for you to beat yourself up continually. Okay, having appropriate remorse, yes. Growing from your mistakes and learning how to do the right thing, yes. But staying stuck in a mire of self-pity, self-hatred, no. And we're not bound by the past. The point of power is not in the past. The point of power is always in the present moment. And how do you step into being your divine self and taking divine action in the present moment? You make a commitment. You make a decision and to take divine right action. So if you notice that your tone is not correct when you're speaking to your boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, you change your tone. That's divine right action. If you notice that you're not being in integrity with how you're spending money and you stop yourself, that's divine right action. If you're about to put a donut in your mouth and you know that literally you're going to feel like rubbish an hour afterwards and you're going to feel depressed and slow and sluggish, or you're diabetic, and you stop and you put it down, that is divine right action. So divine right action is literally the act of either stopping doing a behavior that is hurting you and is bringing self hatred to you, or it's following your divine guidance in the direction of your dreams. But both are the two forms in which divine right action manifests. We're not bound by the past and the present moment, and the point of power is always in the present moment. We have a psychology that worships the wound almost. It's like, yeah, I do this and I have to understand why I do this before I'm able to change what I'm doing. But the truth is that we really do know what the appropriate behavior in that scenario is, and we know what we're doing wrong in that situation. We don't always know how to be better, and then sometimes that requires study, meditation, or discipline. But we know we have this deep conscience. We have a feeling about what's right and what's wrong deep inside our hearts. We really do. And when you quiet your intellect and you turn within and you listen to that still small voice for God or for love inside you, it's normally crystal clear what you have to do. So when you're dealing with a difficult situation in your life, this is where divine action becomes really, really, really important, because it teaches us to act now in a way that we did not act then, and we can clean up the present that needs to be cleaned up from the past and be now who we were not then, right? So divine action is about really cleaning up the present of the shadows and the echoes of the past and moving really strongly into taking full responsibility for the places where we know in our hearts we've underperformed in the past or acted without integrity or failed to honor opportunities and I suppose really take care of the abundance that we were given. So when we really step into 100% responsibility and saying, I will take divine right action, I will listen to what that still small voice for God tells me inside, and I will take those action steps one after the other, then we really start to experience what in A Course in Miracles is called the atonement. So the atonement is a mental process through which we correct our perceptions, thus changing the trajectory of possibilities that unfold as a result. That's the definition in A Course in Miracles. So I suppose atonement is your spiritual recalculate button. It's your spiritual GPS, recalculate button. I've lost my way, help me, let's say you put your GPS, find me London, and you take off the highway up to Bristol. The atonement is, okay, I recognize that I've gone off the direction that I wanted to go in, or I'm not really in alignment with where I really am or with my self-worth or my self-esteem. Please recalculate, change my divine actions, right? Show me which direction to take in my car, show me which direction to take in my body, show me which actions to take, so that I can get to where the original goal was to go. Um, so it really is a gift from God, and it provides us with an opportunity to clear the effect and the karma of past mistakes and drama and poverty and sickness. And by taking responsibility for them, moving into acceptance of them and making amends for them, and the divine right action of whatever's possible to change the patterns of behavior that created the situation that now causes us pain or shame. And that's the power of atonement working through divine action, is that it goes back to the highest truth that everything we're experiencing now is the effect of the thoughts and the actions that we had last year or last month or yesterday. And that as we move forwards, the tomorrow is the effects of the actions and behaviors that we have today. And when you move into that full responsibility, you get to recalculate, you get to reset, and you move into being willing to be different than you are before. So one of the curious things I face when I'm working with people around divine right action is that people will often say, "Oh, I'm trying to change really hard, but I seem to change a little, but then I go right back to being the way that I was." And whenever I ask God about what's going on or Creator about what's going on when people can't change, it's because they're not changing to change. They're changing to get rid of the effect. But the moment that they get the manifestation, they're going to go back to being exactly the way that they were. And their subconscious mind has got them figured out. If you're on a diet so that you can lose, I don't know, a stone or 2 stone, and the moment that you lose that weight, you're going to go back to eating the way you ate before, and you're going to stop taking care of your body, and you're going to stop loving yourself, then your subconscious mind is never going to let you achieve that, because you're just going to go backwards instead of going forwards. So the universe is sitting there going, oh my God, this person finally grew. So it can be you grew financially. Let's say you finally decide to get an accountant and put your books in order and sort out your tax, or pay back your debts. And the moment you pay back those debts, you're going to be go back to being irresponsible and greedy and angry. And your subconscious mind is like, oh my God, they've grown so much through this debt. If I allow them to pay it off, then they're just going to go back to doing what they were doing before. So it's kind of like forgiveness to destroy in A Course in Miracles. A lot of people change to get rid of the effect, but they don't really understand why the change was necessary for them. They don't like what they've created, but they don't believe it's their creation. They think it just happened to them by mistake, or it happened to them, by chance. And they don't realize that everything that happens to us is a result of either of our own individual lovelessness or our collective lovelessness. So, if you're mistreating your body by feeding it really nasty things, then that's your own cause and effect. But if you ingest poison or someone drops a bomb on your house, that's our collective lovelessness. The children aren't responsible for that. The people in those houses aren't responsible for that, and they don't choose that. But it's still lovelessness. It's the same problem occurring in the individual that's occurring on the collective. And that's where you start to shift into the power of atonement and the power of divine right action. That it's in the beginning, in the first stages of spiritual awakening, you start to realize that you do have the power to choose love or to choose fear. And then from there, you have the power to course correct, which is the atonement, right? You have the power to realize, whoops, I made a mistake, and to course correct to move back into divine alignment. And how you do that is through, first of all, admitting and accepting where you are. And this is why it's so important to accept where you are. People are really scared of accepting where they are because then they're like, I'm going to get stuck here. But acceptance is the first, I suppose, giant leap in growth you can make, because acceptance is the perfect way to create the map to freedom. So if I'm in Edinburgh which is a place in a town in Scotland, and I want to get to London, I need to know I'm in Edinburgh. Okay, if I'm in Aberdeen and I think I'm in Edinburgh and I try and get to London, that's a completely different journey. And it's the same thing that happens to us when we lie to ourselves about where we are. The actions that we need to take to get ourselves out of the situation that we're in, it only become clear and visible, which is the main principle of manifestation, when you can accept where you are. Don't accept where you are to stay where you are. Accept where you are to grow out of what you are. I love listening to ET, and he's a motivational speaker on YouTube. And he says, cry to keep going. Don't cry to give up. Rest to keep going. Don't rest to give up. And it's the same thing with acceptance. Don't accept where you are to settle. Accept where you are so that you can really grow and that you can build a map to where it is that you want to be and that you're following the right map, you know? And that's what you're moving through in divine right action. You move into a place of recognizing your current errors and your past errors and praying for help making those changes and being willing to change. So the universe corrects all limitations that are caused by our wrong minded thinking, and guilt and fear dissolve from our minds and our bodies and our thoughts as the mercy and love begin to replace it. So the temptation when you're screwed up is to be really hard on yourself and really critical of yourself. And the idea is that you're going to learn your lesson that way. Now, the only lesson you're going to learn from being critical and hard on yourself is how to be ashamed of yourself. And the only reason you're doing what you're doing is because you're critical and ashamed of yourself. So the ego or the fear mind has got an investment in you believing that the lesson you have to learn is that you really deserve to be punished, that you really deserve to be beaten up when you make mistakes. And when you're in that energy, you don't take divine right action. You don't focus on what the solution to the problem is. You don't focus on how being the best that you can be. You end up focusing on what's wrong with you and what's wrong with other people. So there's real power in moving through this idea of you deserve to be punished. And that's how you learn your lessons, to no matter what the problem, love, compassion, and growth are the solution. So when you're feeling stuck, divine right action is how you grow. So when you're thirsty, your body wants water. When you're hungry, your body wants food. When you're tired, your body wants rest or sleep. And when you are stuck, your consciousness requires growth. And that's what we're really moving into with divine right action. Divine right action is the alignment of your physical behavior with your spiritual integrity. If you think about the movement in slavery, um, people saying, "Oh, slavery is terrible," with the Quakers, who were the beginning of the abolitionist movement, it wasn't until they moved from knowing that slavery was wrong to becoming abolitionists and deciding that it will not happen on my watch, until they had the conviction to decide this lovelessness would not happen on their watch, and they started to take divine action, that slavery started to end. And it's the same thing with your own alignment. It's not until you move from knowing that that behavior is out of alignment and that's behavior out of fear to deciding that that behavior will not happen on your watch, that you will not be cruel on your watch, that you will not be, you know, um, in fear on your watch to the best of your ability. And that if you make a mistake, you will apologize and atone in the highest and best way, that things actually change in your life. You can be really advanced in spiritual principle and knowledge, but really have very weak emotional, spiritual, and financial muscles to back up your spiritual beliefs. And a lot of the people that you meet in your spiritual communities will be able to share much more advanced spiritual knowledge and they're actually able to practice. I mean, I really firmly believe that there are much more loving people in the world than there are people in fear in the world. The reason fear dominates this world is because we haven't loved with the same conviction that we have become used to wielding our hatred in. So, you know, the people who hate are organized. We wage war, okay? And we wage fear on the population. And we need to learn how to wage hope and peace and grace and have organized and strategic acts of love and kindness. And all of those things are divine right action. And those only come from understanding how important divine right action is and how much it's needed. And really digging deep into your heart to go beyond beating yourself up to, I'm doing this for me. And I'm doing this so I become the light I'm capable of being for this planet. And, talking about it is not enough. I need to become the change that I'm discussing. I need to move into the space of alignment where I'm acting the way that I am thinking. And that is a very important transition to make. And it might feel fake in the beginning. Sometimes with divine right action, it's a bit of a fake it till you make it scenario. People call it faking. But let me put it to you this way, it's not faking, it's learning and growing. So, particularly with men versus women, women will only apply for jobs that they are 100% qualified for, whereas guys will apply for jobs that they are 60% qualified for because they believe they can grow into the 40%. And I think it's the same thing with the fake it that you make it till you make it mentality. I think once you develop enough of the spiritual knowledge and principle, that 40% is the space in which you grow into, and that space which divine action provides for you to grow into. So you've never been kind in this situation before, you can grow into it. So you've never actually had integrity in this financial situation before, you can grow into it. So you've never taken divine action to that situation before, you can grow into it. So you've never taken care of your body into this situation before, you can take care of your body. It's all about realizing that divine right action is that bridge between why am I knowing all this stuff and it's not enough. The reason it's not enough is divine right action is the virtue that you're missing. It's not enough to talk the talk, you have to learn to walk the walk. And divine action is that missing piece, which really takes you from I'm manifesting maybe 50% of the time to I'm manifesting what I want, 100% of the time, 120% of the time, because you've moved into a higher level of integrity and spiritual discipline. And you've really mastered the principle of atonement. You've really mastered the idea that when you've gone off course, you recalculate and you go back on course. You don't stop. If you're going driving down to London, you don't not go to London because you made a turn off at Bristol. You just get back on the freeway. You don't have a huge drama about it. You just get back on the freeway. And it's the same thing with whatever challenge it is you're facing in life. If you're not well and you tried the wrong treatment, that sucks. Get back on the course to health. If you're, trying to create abundance and you lost it, that's really hard. Get back on the road to abundance. Don't let yourself be discouraged by comparing yourself to people who tell you that they did it in a oneer, because they're lying. No one's ever grown without actually putting themselves in the arena and being vulnerable and practicing over and over again. The issue is they don't let you see that because of the amount of judgment that they would experience. And I believe that in order to, I suppose, not just inspire, but actually give you guys the action to do what you need to do in this life to hold a space of greatness and for your brilliance, I have to be honest about my journey. I can't be telling you that I'm perfect and I'm sunshine and rainbows on social media and YouTube and Instagram, and I don't have any, integrity or any virtues or any practices, when I really do. And when that I can't be acting like every skill that I have was just there and I never practiced, because that's not the truth. And you deserve the truth. And it means that when you face challenges, you're going to be more equipped to overcome them, because you're going to be like, okay, that person that was listening to earlier, she's had challenges too. And it wasn't a cakewalk for her either. And she still succeeded. Or this person that I'm listening to, they worked hard for this. It didn't just happen overnight. It just doesn't sell as much as if I say, I'm an overnight success, I manifested everything I wanted in an instant. But the universe isn't looking for what sells. The universe is looking for what allows you to get to the next level of spiritual growth. So in the universe, the law of divine right action is part of the law of gestation. So if you think about an embryo turning into a baby or a seed turning into an oak tree, there is divine timing involved in that. And that doesn't mean you're getting it wrong. And it's the same thing with every manifestation and divine right action that you have. There is a growth process that you require to go through and grow through, because otherwise, the only thing worse than being alone is manifesting your soulmate and destroying the relationship with the person you love the most in the universe, because you haven't developed the spiritual and the emotional skills to hold that relationship with the tenderness and acceptance that it requires to flourish and grow. And divine right action is how you do that. It's how you commit every day to doing better and becoming better. So I hope that helped you guys understand divine right action. Please feel free to leave comments or ask questions. If you liked the video, please give me a thumbs up. Bear in mind that I'm just sharing with you my, understanding, knowledge, and wisdom. Take what you need, leave the rest. I love you all. I hope you have a wonderful evening. Bye.